Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining Art in Barcelona Summer 2024 program info session. My name is Kelly, and I am the Study Abroad Program Coordinator. Joining us today, we have Professor Aina Cladas, and she's a leading professor for this program. And we also have our student ambassador, Alexa Nelson, and she studied abroad in London for 3 months. So without further ado, let's get started. Professor Cladas will start the info session right now. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Kelly. Okay, well, welcome everybody, and thanks for joining today that info program.
Aina, I think your internet might be unstable because it was cutting off a little bit. Maybe you can turn off this your camera. Maybe it will be better.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Let's see if that is better. That's one of the things of moving to a new place. Okay, so welcome everybody. I'm going to talk a little bit slower to make sure everybody can follow, just in case my internet breaks down a little bit. So I will be the faculty who's going to be leading the Study Abroad program in Barcelona in June 2024. It's going to be an art course. We're going to be doing oil painting in Barcelona for 4 weeks. A little bit more details on that. All right, so reasons to study abroad. Maybe Alexa can also chip in a little bit in your experience too. When I was a student in college many years ago, I took a study abroad program. I am originally from Spain. I am actually native from Barcelona, and I took a study abroad program in Portugal, which is not that far, but it was quite an experience for me. It was supposed to last 6 months, and it ended lasting 2 years. I actually decided to stay a little bit longer. That's how much I loved it. This is something that made me more flexible. It helped me learn new languages. I got in contact with a ton of different cultures, a lot of different foods, ways to communicate, like ways to, it really opens up your mind. It's definitely helping you thinking outside the box a lot. That was one of the greatest experiences that I had when I was in college. And also, it made me more ready for changes. Like I went to a country that I did not speak the language at all, and it made me be more tolerant. It made me more flexible. It made me, as the presentation says, more creative in the beginning because I did not know the language and I had to, just get by, try to survive however I could. And in the end, I ended up learning the language, and that became another gain strength that I took from this experience. So I seriously recommend everybody at least once to spend some time abroad, 1 month, 2 months, or whatever it is that you can do. It is actually a great skill to have. So the month of June is going to look something like that. On Sunday, June 2nd, we're going to leave the US, and then during the 4 weeks that we're going to be in Barcelona, we are going to meet for classes twice a week in the morning. That is Mondays and Wednesdays, where we're going to be talking oil painting, art in general, and also we're going to be connecting that to the local culture of both the city of Barcelona and the whole culture of the country of Spain. Then the rest of the days, this is just some highlights on the calendar. There's going to be more experiences than that, but we're going to have guided tours to the main highlights of the city. We're going to go to the main museums. We are going to have separate excursions to 2 different cities in the area of Barcelona. One of them, the one that you can see right in the middle of the screen, that's that town called Sitges. This is one of the towns, I'll talk a little bit more about that later, where all the modernist artists in the 19th century used to meet to paint. And then we're going to have another excursion to a little bit further down, you can see it, to Girona and Figueres, which is a little bit further north. Some of you may have heard about Figueres. This is the town where the surrealist painter Salvador Dalí was born, and he was living there for his entire life. And well, among that, a lot of other activities like a cooking class, like a tapas dinner, etc. And we're going to end the program in Friday, June 28th. That is the day that we fly back to the United States. So why Barcelona? The first thing that I have to say is I chose Barcelona because it's a city that I know like the palm of my hand. I lived there for many years. I am a local, and I studied art in different institutions in the city. So I know a lot of active local artists. I know the best galleries. I know a lot of the institutions, the best museums, when to go, how to go, etc. So this is the first reason why I chose Barcelona. Then the city itself is full of history and culture that you can see in every corner. The history of Barcelona dates back from the ancient Roman times, and you can still see some of the architecture that dates back from those days. And then it has gone through a lot of different invasions and pacts and a lot of different cultural phases, all of them still visible nowadays. Besides that, of course, Spanish gastronomy, I don't need to say anymore. It is delicious food. And I'm sure that just as much as I'm excited to go and see museums, I'm also very excited to go and see some of my favorite restaurants that I'm always welcome to recommend to everybody. So that's definitely a plus for that specific location. And also, one beautiful thing, interesting thing about Barcelona is that while you can still see a lot of the old and ancient culture still visible nowadays, it is a very modern city at the same time. It's considered one of the design hubs nowadays. There is a lot of art design institutions and institutes and universities and a lot of fairs. So you're going to see that the times that we have there, you can see a lot of that concept of the old meets new, right? There is a lot of modern art together with a lot of tradition behind. Other things about Barcelona, it is a very easy and very safe city. I think it ranks top 7 in the most safe cities in the world. I lived there for 20 years and I have never, ever had a single problem, ever. One day somebody pickpocketed me. That's the only thing that happened to me in 20 years. That is the one thing that you guys have to be aware if you decide to come with me. Pickpocket is something that happens unfortunately on a daily basis, so you want to keep an eye on your belongings, but that is literally the only thing that I would say to keep an eye on in Barcelona. All the areas of the city are safe. You can walk by yourself. It is absolutely fine. And then easy. There is very good transportation system. Public transportation takes you absolutely everywhere, not only in the city itself, but also connected to other cities around the area and also around the country. And also, if you're feeling a little bit more adventurous in a certain weekend, there is a fast velocity train that takes you all the way to, for example, Paris or other European capitals. This, again, it's not included as part of the experience, but the possibility is there, and it's actually quite affordable and quite easy too. So this is a map of the center of the city. The whole city is a little bit bigger than that. And this little orange dot is where the classroom is going to be. This is a very safe, sorry about my cat in the background, he's having a moment. This is a very safe area of the city. It's very close to the city center, but not quite in the middle of the city center. You're going to notice it right away. Once you're in the city, downtown, you're going to see that it's a little bit more active. There is a lot of tourism. There is a little bit more traffic. So we're going to be conveniently close to all of that, but not in the middle of it. The area where the classroom is quite residential with just nice local restaurants, quite easy, and of course, really accessible with easy public transportation. So a few basic information about the course. This is going to be a 3-unit course. And inside of the same classroom, we're going to have students from oil painting 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there's going to be 4 different levels of skill in the same classroom, which is great. So you guys can learn from each other. There is no prerequisites. absolute beginners are more than welcome. And also it's transferable. And well, you can see all the information here. The things that we're going to be talking about is hands-on painting practice. So we're going to be learning the craft of oil painting. And as I was mentioning before, we're going to link it somehow to the local history and culture. All right, then the information of AAFS, this is going to be the agency that is going to help us with the whole experience of studying abroad. AAFS is an international study program agency that was funded in 1964, and it helps a lot of students in the United States to study in different destinations all over the world. Actually, Kelly, I don't know if maybe you want to help me with that a little bit. I don't have all the knowledge. Like if anybody has any specific question about AAFS, maybe they can direct it to somebody else because since I am not part of their, or I can just skip that part a little bit faster.
Yeah, we can skip this part, and then if anybody have questions, they can email me.
Yes, but basically, during the entire experience where we are in Barcelona, AIFS is going to be backing us up. If there is any problem, they are available 24 hours a day. They are conveniently located really close to our class. You can see the photo right here. It's pretty much in the same street. And they have their offices in here that you can walk in, you can talk to someone, and they have that availability 24 hours a day emergency contact. Well, this is a map where they are. We're going to be like literally 5 streets away, so it's really convenient, a very easy area of the city. And well, the student accommodation. So there are 2 options for this program. You can either take the whole package, including the classes and all the museum experiences and the transportation pass, plus the which is located within a 45-minute commute. I would say a little bit less in this case, from the center. And these rooms include their single rooms and suite, and they include a shared kitchen and living space. I have seen the website. I'm very happy to share it in the chat when I'm done talking so everybody can see it. The website of the space that it's provided to us, the accommodation that's provided for us for this program, and it looks really good. It's in a neighborhood, again, very close to where we are studying, very convenient, very easy, and with a lot of art galleries. It's actually a lot of fun. And then options B would be to go for independent housing. In that case, the fee of participating is a little bit lower. You can see that number down here. And in that case, the student agrees to supply their own housing. So you can either stay in a hotel, you can look for an Airbnb, or maybe you have a relative or a friend, somebody that can help. So there are the 2 options, either going for the one that is already included, which I'm going to share in the chat, or the one that the housing is not included and you guys look for your own option. Included in the program fee, there is also the transportation pass. It is a whole month that will take you everywhere inside the city of Barcelona and also the surrounding cities. We have metro, we have train, we have buses, so it is a very easy navigation. Also, as I was saying, the last bit of information here for the ones who are feeling a little bit more adventurous, you want to explore Europe a little bit more in the broader sense, you can take a high velocity train, AVE in Spanish, that will take you to other cities in surrounding countries. You can even go a little bit farther with it. Okay, so also included on the map, we have the art ticket pass, which will give you pass to the main museums of the city. That is a Museo Picasso, the Museo da Contemporani, with all the 19th century painters that were active during that flourishment of the culture in general Spain, but also mainly in Barcelona. Then we have the Museo d'Art Nacional, that is the biggest one that we have in Barcelona with beautiful views. Fundación from both 2 of the highlighted artists from Barcelona, Joan Miró and Antoni Tàpies. And then we have the Centre de Cultura Contemporània de Barcelona. That's the one with the most modern art that we have nowadays. And it's kind of like an international reference. Other things that we're going to be doing, also fun things during the project, is, oops, sorry, I clicked on something. There we go. So fun things that we're going to be doing is we're going to go from cultural experiences, going to museums, etc., to something a little bit more fun, like for example, that cooking class or guided tours in the museums. We're going to see the Sagrada Familia. That's one of the main tourist attractions of Barcelona. That is a gorgeous architectural experience. So that is also included as part of the experience. One of the two excursions that are included in the course is this town, Sitges, that is just like half an hour south of Barcelona. This was one of the cultural hubs about from all the artists, again, in the 19th century. They were doing plein air. It has a couple of very strong museums worth seeing. And yeah, just like half an hour ride, and we can go there, spend the day, do a walking tour in the city, see the museums, and then go back to Barcelona. And the other one that time, we're going to go to Girona and Figueres. We're going to be seeing the different art institutions, and mainly what I'm very interested in you guys seeing is the museum dedicated to Salvador Dali in Figueres. So, including a program fee, maybe Kelly, you want to step in for this?
Yes. So the fee is, as we listed, is $4,625. And if you are um, choosing the accommodation provided by the program, this price does not include flight. Um, you could choose a group flight if you would like to fly with other participants. You can also find your own flight, and that's up to you. Um, Accommodation to the students is a single room. It's like a hotel setting. In your own room, you have your bathroom, and in the same building, there's gym and other accommodations. Um, it's very convenient. It also includes transportation pass, orientation meeting, and culture activities, including tickets to all these activities, museum and stuff like that. This fee also including the farewell dinner, full day excursion to these places, and the art tickets. The best part of this program is AIFS provider. There's a student center, and they have 24/7 contact information. You can contact them if you have anything emergency. So, which is really good service if you, especially when you are overseas, you need some help. They're there to help you. There will be a pre-departure services and orientation, and most importantly, medical insurance when you're overseas. Thank you. Next one. So we just talked about the airfare. The airfare, if you want to choose a group flight, is $1,620 for the group flight, including airport pickup as well in Barcelona. And this fee does not including our college tuition. Our college tuition for domestic students is $46 per unit. The fee is waived if you are San Mateo County residents. And personal expense, including passport and the other personal travel. If you are going shopping, you need to prepare some extra money for that. If you don't currently have a passport, the good news is on Skyline campus, we have a passport office. You can come here, get your passports. Alexa, maybe you could put the passport link in the chat so people can access for the information. So there are also optional excursion. There's a trip protector insurance you can purchase for the in case of program cancellation or interruption. So you're very well protected. So this is group flight information. The fee you can see here, 1,620. Optional 2-day, 1-night excursion to Madrid. Professor Cladas, you want to talk about that? I know you're very excited about this trip.
Yes, I know. So this is something, yes, actually Madrid is a great city. This is something also that's going to be an optional add-on to spend a weekend in the capital of Spain, which is Madrid, and it has incredible museums, starting with the Prado Museum, the Thyssen-Bornemisza, the Sorolla House Museum. This is something that, again, it's not included in the general program fee. This is something that it's an add-on, and it's a 2-day, 1-night excursion, in which we're going to do a tour of the city, and we're going to be visiting the main museums. And let me tell you, just the Prado itself is something that requires at least 3 days. So we're going to try as much as we can to squeeze all of that into those 2 days. Madrid is a city that is just a preference for culture. We have pieces by the Velázquez, by Goya. We have pieces by Picasso, of course, and a lot of the big names. So it is definitely worth seeing. Then Kelly, if you want to over
Yes.
the application
How to apply?
process.
Yes. Well, the application is open right now. I am putting the application link in the chat. Feel free to explore the application. So when you fill out this is AIFS, the program provider. Um, you will need to fill out the application and pay the $450 deposit. After you pay $450 deposit, we will start reviewing your application, and I will contact you to take care of a few other documentations that our school needs. And once your application is approved, you will receive an email from AFS with a link too, and then you can access flight information and other information. The class registration will open around, I would say, March or April. So we will send the information out once the information is available. So the deadline to apply to pay $450 deposit is March 8, 2024. And the final payment deadline is April 5th, 2024. So I have a question in the chat. If I've already applied, how soon will I hear back? Um, I will contact you after I review the application. Um, when did you I will actually after this info session, I will review the portal. And the scholarships, we have so many scholarship available. The biggest one is Benjamin A. Gilman International Scholarship. This scholarship just opened up last week. The deadline to apply is March 7. So we actually have an info session coming up. You can join us. Join us. Maybe uh, Ina, do you mind I share a screen for a while? Thank you. So let me share my screen about the Skillman info session. We have two upcoming info session. One is this Thursday from 3 to 5, the first hour info session about Gilman Scholarship. And second session is we will be helping you the essay preparation workshop. The SVP, I will also send you all this beautiful flyers after this info session. And then we have second one first Love to have you. Thank you. I think my Zoom quit my sharing screen. Um, another great um, another great source of the um, scholarship is called the Fund for Education Abroad Scholarship. First, I would drop in the chat of the Gilman info session. Gilman info session, as I think I did a direct chat. I would share to everybody, Gilman info session. Second one is called the Fund for Education Abroad. This one awards up to $5,000. For the Gilman one, awards up to $5,000 too, but for the summer summer program mostly will be $3,000, which is still a lot. Um, I dropped in the chat of the both Fund Education Abroad and Gilman Scholarship. Fund for Education Abroad, the deadline is February 7, 2024. Please feel free to look at those websites and let me know if you have any questions. And we have info session coming up as I told you before, and I will send you all the information with the recording after this info session. There are several others. Alexa, if you can share the scholarship link from our website to the students, that would be good. There's few others like scholarships through the SMCCD Foundation, and that's a good one as well. Yes, that's all the scholarship I want to share, and again, I will email you all the information after this. Thank you. Oh, creative funding. Besides scholarship, you can actually find some creative ideas to raise fund for your study abroad. For example, right now is January. Your trip is June, so you still have few months. Maybe get a side job to save some money and cut some spendings. That will help. And we have students, they actually did a crafting, like make bracelet, make some jewelries. They say, do fundraising, and even go to create GoFundMe account. You know, you never know how strangers might be able to help you if you write a story that can touch people's hearts, and they might be able to help you. So explore all the options. And yeah, you never know how this could change your life. As Professor Cladas mentioned, study abroad trip program can change your life. Um, yeah, as long as you want to do this, there will be ways to help you. Scholarships, fundraising ideas, GoFundMe, and there's unlimited resources out there. And talk to your friends, your families, how maybe they could support you as well. Next. Okay, here's our contact information. Feel free to contact me or Professor Cladas if you have specific questions regarding this program. I will drop, Alexa, if you could drop the information, contact information in the chat, that would be good too. Thank you. I think we can open up for questions.
There are a few questions in the chat.
Okay. So let me read a few. I was wondering if we'll have time in between notice of acceptance for the program when the deposit payments are due. Yeah, you will have time because right now it's only January. The final payment is due in April. So there are plenty of time. So thank you for the. I have question. I'm learning English at CSM. Do you think it is appropriate that I will participate in the program, even though I don't understand exactly in English. I'm really interested in art and architecture. Professor Claudas, would you like to answer this question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, no problem. Yes, absolutely. You can still, I am not a native English speaker, and I can really feel for those of you who, like me, are still trying to get it, as good as you can. So you can still join the class if your English is not perfect. Absolutely. I am teaching the same class right now at CSM, and I have a few international students whose English is not very strong, and it's absolutely fine. In this class, you're not supposed to write, so it's more about hands-on painting. So if your English is a little bit broken, it's not a problem. And also, I get the same question about Spanish very often. Can I still come if I don't understand anything in Spanish? Yes, you can definitely still come. Barcelona is a city where you can easily navigate without speaking Spanish. Just English won't apply.
Um,
Um,
yeah.
I was
I
going
want to emphasize one thing. The application is open. The program max is 20 to 25 students. Um, so if you want to participate in this program, please submit your application ASAP. And pay the $450 deposit because I currently have over 15 students have paid deposit. So please, if you're interested in the program, please submit your application ASAP. And I will, Alexa, please drop in the application link in the chat. Thank you. How many credit can you get in this program? It's 3.
to
Another questions, are we responsible for our own material for the painting class?
Yes, you are. You have to bring your own materials. And when the dates start approaching, I will contact everybody just to make sure that nobody has any more questions. But what I suggest is that a few of your materials, if you already have them, you can bring them with you. But the oil painting tubes, I suggest you buy them in Spain. They're a little bit cheaper, and so you don't have to travel back and forth with them. It is even a good idea to gather with another student, and maybe you can even share the supplies, because that way just going to use them and then you're going to travel with them empty. So you're not going to travel with them back to the class. But this is something, together with other like day-to-day kind of questions, that I will contact everybody who signs up with tips and like little tricks on how to make the trip easier. But yes, you're responsible for your material.
Good, thank you. There's one more question about the eligibility. Eligibility, I'm putting in chat right now. You must be 18 years or older to participate in this program, and your GPA must be 2.25 or higher. That's the only requirements we have for this program. So if you Yes, about Thailand and Vietnam information. Great question. We are about to start Vietnam and Thailand info session right now. Professor John Press is here right now, so welcome.
Hi, thank you. So we have a wonderful trip planned for Vietnam and Thailand coming up this summer, and we're about 125 days away from that trip, which I'm pretty excited about. So we actually went there. One of the directors of this program and I went there in November, and we have a little video that I want to start out and share with you to show you some of the things that we are going to be doing on this trip. So it's about a little less than 2 minutes, but it's a quick video to see some of the things that we experienced in our preview trip to Vietnam, Thailand for 2024. So I'm going to play that. Is it going? Can you see the video? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that was our little slideshow from the Vietnam, Thailand trip that we went on. And so this trip is a pretty awesome trip, if I say so myself. And it's involves, two different countries, some plane changes and so forth. And we have a pretty packed itinerary. So during this trip, the focus is on intercultural communications and interpersonal. So by default, we're going to be dealing with other cultures, but the course material is specific to interpersonal communications. And then I realized that some students who are interested in going have already taken interpersonal. So we have basically a special program to get those units. It is a 3-unit course, and it's going to be run as a hybrid course. So we'll have some information before we depart, and then we'll be contacting, or not contacting, connecting with each other as we travel to discuss some of the items that happen within interpersonal communication, such as living in close quarters with individuals, conflict, negotiation, and different emotional status that we will feel when we experience some of these excursions and monuments. During this trip, we ended up going to some of the jungles in Vietnam and some boat rides, and we get to see a different part of the world and how people live, which is pretty interesting because most of us, see these different countries and hear about it, but we don't necessarily see how people live. So Ho Chi Minh City is a huge city, but when you go outside the big city, you see some of the stereotypical things of less developed countries. We also see how commercialism and major companies like the United States and China have avoided tariffs by using Vietnam and Thailand to exchange goods and services to keep costs down. And so that's a huge part of the program. So it looks like a question is program gives you interpersonal communication. I already took the class, but yes, you can still apply. And so for someone who already took interpersonal, we have the option of doing a independent study with communication studies for the units, or we can talk about what classes you haven't taken. So there is an option for that as well. But on the screen now, I'm going to try and share again the actual itinerary, which I dropped in the PDF form on the chat over there. So what you will see here is what our plans are. So it takes about a day and a half to get there, so we do lose some time. So most flights are going to be leaving the 26th, the Sunday night, or early Monday morning to get there on Tuesday. Fly overnight, land, and then we in Ho Chi Minh. And this program also has some meals included along with other excursions and activities. So it's really cool what's included. It's one of the more affordable trips because in Ho Chi Minh and also in Bangkok, it's very affordable. I'll give you a great example. When I left Thailand the last day, we went to a night market, and it was pretty cool because there was so much stuff I wanted to buy for souvenirs and for myself that with $100 I was able to buy a suitcase, a medium-sized suitcase to carry onto a plane, and then fill it with decent quality clothes and souvenirs and bring that back. So it was actually really affordable for the shopping aspects. Now I've done several trips across the world with students, all the way out to Australia, New Zealand, and several European trips. And usually students go there with the intention of focusing on the cultural experience, and then they see all these great things that they want to bring back with them, and it's kind of costly. For the trip in these Asian countries, it's super affordable to pay for things. For example, a lot of Americans like to drink bottled water, which I recommend, and it wasn't too expensive for me to buy bottled water all day long. It's actually really affordable, so that's a good thing. As you can see from the itinerary, you'll see some meals on the left-hand side that are included. So when you fly internationally, most airlines are going to give you a lot of food. So when you land, you're probably not going to be hungry. We flew on Asiana Airlines, and the food was absolutely delicious. It was wonderful. And moving along the trip, we see some of the temples and the religious aspects of Ho Chi Minh. We go to the Grand Palace. We have a walking city of the tour, and there's lots of excursions that we can do in addition to our planned program. So you see down here, there's the walking guided tour. We're assigned a guide who speaks the native tongue of the countries that we're going to, which is very helpful because the local guides can also, steer us clear of areas that may rip us off. So the biggest risk for American travelers is pickpocketing in these two countries. And anywhere you go, people see Americans, they associate us with money. And so that's something we have to always be aware of. So having a local guide who knows what areas are safe to go in makes the trip a very safe and a very different experience than just going on your own and just wandering around the city. We get to walk through some of the halls. We have the tour of the Notre Dame Cathedral there in Ho Chi Minh and the post office, which is pretty awesome. and then it's right down the street from their local opera house. Now, when we went there, we saw a local Cirque du Soleil-esque show, which was pretty cool. That was an additional, I think, $60, but it was pretty cool to see that experience. And it was basically ingrained. It was basically a Cirque du Soleil with like Shenyun, but for Vietnam. So it had local cultural behaviors and things that have been done for years that were incorporated into a show that we could see for about 90 minutes. And afterwards, they had like a post show in the lobby, and that was a really cool experience. One of the coolest things about any travel, I tell American students, is that you're going to know the music because everywhere we go, they play American music. And that was no different in Vietnam. There was an outdoor concert, and they were playing, I think, Miley Cyrus Flowers. And I was like, I know that song. And then I was able to hear it and like, yeah, I do know that song. So lots of American influence in the cultural experience in Vietnam. We also have the ability to do some things outside of the tour. So we usually start around 7:30 for breakfast. All of our hotels have these wonderful breakfast service for all of us. Students can have a great time filling up on food, and then we walk or travel on bus or boat, depending on what we're going to be doing. And then usually we have like a later lunch, like 12:30, 1 o'clock. And then we tour the rest of the afternoon for different areas around the city. And then we go to dinner. And based on the day, like this day here, day 4, breakfast is included, and so is lunch. And sometimes if it's not listed here, we'll bring you to a location where there's options for lunch. The food was pretty good. I'm not a big seafood person, but I did try a lot of stuff that I would normally not try. In Vietnam, there's so much to choose from as far as food. And we went to a nice meal, you dressed up, and for 4 people with 3 courses, it was less than $30 a person, which I thought was pretty cool. In Thailand, the food was absolutely amazing. I think the food was just a little bit better in Thailand. The sauces and the flavoring and everything was absolutely delicious, and we get part of those tastes and those different palettes to explore as we go through the cities and talk about why there's differences in the way food is prepared and how we look at food as Americans compared to locals in Vietnam and Thailand. In this trip, the package does include the transfer from Ho Chi Minh City to from Saigon Airport to Bangkok. You'll see here on day 6, we leave Ho Chi Minh and then we go towards Bangkok. It's a quick flight, about 2 hours. And it's really cool because we land, we have a new tour guide who picks us up at the airport. We'll load our luggage onto a bus, and then from here, based on our final arrival time, we will be either dropped off at the hotel to drop off our luggage and stow it, or we'll start doing the touring in Bangkok right away. Bangkok and Vietnam are very large cities. They look similar to San Francisco or Chicago at face value. But when you get to Vietnam, the first thing you're going to notice is the number of motorbikes that are available. And also, we also caution travelers that the traffic laws are a little bit different. So we're used to seeing a green light for pedestrians and you walk. In Vietnam, the green lights don't really mean anything. So we give you a safety tour on what to prepare for before you start touring the cities, just so you're in good hands. And then our local guides will also let us know if there's any other differences between traffic laws or the country, so we don't get ourselves in trouble. Because there are certain things that we do that are illegal in Thailand. For example, if anyone read or watches like The Crown or the book Spare, that book is banned in Thailand because they have a monarchy and it's against the law to speak poorly of any monarchy, let alone the Thai monarchy. So we give you tips on that, but it's also fascinating to know that some simple things that we're used to, such as freedom of expression and speech, is not exactly interpreted the same way in these 2 countries. And that's part of that interpersonal learning, is how do you adapt and respond to people in different countries with different language and language barriers. Everywhere we go, for the most part, you can speak English and get around just fine. There's a couple of stops where you need to have a translator, and that's where our tour guide comes in. In Bangkok, we're also going to have an excursion to the Grand Palace, which it literally is a must-see. It's pretty awesome to go in there and see the reception and coronation hall, and just see the history. Like the United States, we've been around for barely 200 plus years, and we go someplace like Vietnam and Thailand, where there's thousands of years of history and culture that are all presented to us in different mechanisms. One of the coolest excursions that we did in a day trip in my experience in Vietnam was going to an Eastern medicine shop. We got to see how medicines were sort of concocted, different ways of storing medicines, and the history of medicines. And one of the things that I'm not a big snake person, but there was a large cobra in a jar that had a scorpion in its mouth, and we got the breakdown of how snakes are used for healing in Eastern medicine and what they're used for. So different flowers, different roots, different animals, and byproducts of animals are used to sort of help people through different ailments, which are still used today. And so having that tour was also very important because we look at healthcare very different here in the States than internationally and abroad. And so I think it was really helpful for me as an American to see the different options available in different countries. On day 7, we also have breakfast and lunch. You're going to see breakfast included in and every day, and then lunch is included on several days here. We have the Wanglang Market, which was a guided tour. So if you love street food, there's actually a street food fair that I didn't participate in, but it was available, where they have lots of different carts and different things to try on the food sale. If you're a big foodie, Thailand is the place to go because there's lots of different things to taste and try. During the tour itself, when we have our breaks for meals and stops where we like look at shops and just sort of have downtime, we're not sort of on the go. This is an opportunity to network and meet with your fellow travelers. So we have a wonderful group of students already signed up to this trip. We have about 5 or 6 more slots left before we sort of max out on our trip. We're trying to keep it right around 20 to 22 individuals, just so we don't get too large. There are still spots open. So I see that question in the chat. Our deadline date for this trip is February 9th. It's the last day to sign up with your deposit. And it's important to know that because if you want to go on the 10th, at that point, they're starting to book hotels and confirm rooms and all that fun stuff. And this is one of those tours where we're going to be traveling in May, June. So the weather is going to be a bit warm and a bit humid. And we went in November. It wasn't as hot as May, June. And it was pretty hot for me. I'm not a big humidity person, but that was quite the adapting to do for me. But we want to make sure that you book in advance so you can book airfare. So this trip cost does not include the airfare. And that's because it was going to cost way more to do a group booking. So it's way more affordable if each of us going on the trip book separately. So that saves, a couple $100 there. The travel company is World Stride. So they've been really awesome for arranging the logistics and then also providing answers to questions that we need. And they have a great support team. So one of the things I like about World Strides is when we travel, let's say you get sick, we have access to 24-hour telemedicine. So we can talk to a doctor who I think is either in America or in England. So they're English speaking, English is a primary language. And then they can do a triage, of course, if it's not an emergency. And they can triage and say what they suggest you do, whether it's go to the emergency room, go to urgent care, or if you can have like an over-the-counter treatment, or if they can prescribe something. So we do have access to physicians. It's not like a medical assistant or a nurse. It's actually a physician who will triage if someone should have that. Now, we were lucky. We went out there and had no issues with medicine, but it's nice to have that comfort as part of the program because we never anticipate anything happening, but should something happen, you want to make sure that you are in good hands, and this program does a good job taking care of us. So once you book your tickets, you send me the information, and then we sort of sync everybody's schedules so we can meet up that first day in Ho Chi Minh. And then once we all are together, we travel as a group and do all these different excursions. And we have 2 hotel transfers. So we have 1 hotel in Ho Chi Minh, and then we check out, go to Bangkok. We have 1 hotel in Bangkok. The hotels that we stayed at were really nice. I was very pleased at how nice of the hotel we had. In Vietnam, it was so affordable that I was able to have all my laundry done, like cleaned, dry cleaned, and folded and pressed for less than $10 US. And I was like, this is amazing. I want this done every single day. So it's really affordable to do that as well. You don't have to do that. Other things that are different when traveling abroad in these 2 countries is like for us, shoes. We don't really think about shoes. We walk into houses and buildings and wear shoes. There's many places on this trip where you cannot wear shoes. Most of the temples, you are not allowed to walk inside with shoes on, and you have to have certain wardrobes available so you're not showing a certain level of skin, and we prepare you for all of that. Great question. If I apply for a scholarship and I don't get accepted, do you get the deposit back? That's a great question. On our website, there are dates on when the deposit deadline is. Kelly, do you have that date available? Because I'm looking at the itinerary right now. But I think it's, I don't want to.
Yes, I do. So it's payment deadline is February 9. So there's withdrew. I'm still looking at it. Give me a few seconds. Let me copy the information in the chat so it's easier because there's a lot of information here. So it's right here.
All right, so we're looking for the deadline date. So March 12th is the deadline, what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
That's our withdrawal before March 12th. So it's sort of prorated. So yeah, we definitely want to, if you are applying for a scholarship, and depending upon that, we want to get your deposit. I think the deposit's like $360 for the minimum deposit to reserve a seat. And then if you do pay the deposit and you want to fall into this area, you want to make sure that you don't miss the drop date if you can't make the trip. So we don't want anybody to have to drop, but we also will help. Kelly's really good at matching with scholarships. We have the Gilman Scholarship to help pay for this. And it's a wonderful opportunity. So one of the questions that you might be thinking is, why would I want to go on a study abroad program? As a college student, I understand the finances because I could not afford to go on my own. So the deposit is $384. So when I was in college, I was not able to do that. And so now as an adult and teaching, I found that I wanted to give back and help students find opportunities to go around the world. I think it makes a better overall candidate for applying for other colleges when you have experience for a study abroad program. So the question is, can you pay cash? You'd have to go through WorldStride, so they might be able to do a deduction from like your account, like you want to put on a credit card or something. You can do like a debit withdrawal, like you can't give us cash. So one of the things that we do as a protection for everybody is we have a third-party company that books the travel. So I'm not taking money. Alice is not taking money, and any other college program employee is not taking money, just because we don't have any issues with that. So we have a third-party company who has been around for over 30 years doing trips, and they're able to take your funds in payment, and then they also book everything. So all you have to do if you sign up is put the deposit down for this trip through the link that Kelly has put in the chat, and then you book your own airfare. And then as long as everything's paid off by the time the trip comes, then we pick up where the class starts. So the class will open up about 2 weeks before the departure date. So in transition between spring and summer, it's an official summer class. Everybody who signs up is guaranteed a spot in that class, and it's all protected. So like you don't have to rush to get into it. And if you are a student in San Mateo County, it should be free for you because of our new tuition program, which is pretty awesome. So the only thing you really are paying for are the travel costs. Now there are some course materials which are also included in Canvas. So I give you like a textbook and some reading information. You don't have to pay for any of that. It's all part of the curriculum. So we try to keep the cost for this program as affordable as possible. And then you're also going to see on this trip, there's a program extension. So the trip officially ends on the 9th, where it's 9th or the 8th here. Right around here, we have one. Oh, wait. Sorry, I saw day 9. June 9th is, or June 6th. So the program ends on June 6th for the general trip. And then we have this opportunity for, I think, additional $500 or so to do another excursion from Bangkok to Chiang. And this is more of a relaxation trip, which includes breakfast, and you're on your own for lunch and dinner. But it's a lot of like touristy stuff where you have time spending at the beach, which if you've ever watched Below Deck and saw those Thai beaches, they're absolutely gorgeous. So I'm planning to stay and do this as well. And if you look down here, then the final date where everyone has to leave as part of this program is June 9th. So this is not part of the current program here. It's an optional excursion. I think we have a couple people that signed up for that, but it's completely optional. So if you want to just stick with the program and leave with the main trip, you depart for the airport on June 6th, and then you come back to the States. Now, the other benefit by having you book your own flight is you have more flexibility. For example, I travel around a lot, and I know sometimes it's cheaper to fly out of Oakland than San Francisco, or sometimes it's cheaper to go to San Jose or Sacramento. So you're not locked down to one airport. You just have to be in Ho Chi Minh City by Tuesday, May 28th. Get back up there. And then you meet the group and go forward. There are a couple students who are coming in earlier for whatever reason, and that's totally fine too. You just have to be at the meeting points here on May 28th, which the trip gets together. We officially start. For the academic component of this, the trip will last for the 10 days here, and then afterwards you'll finish your project, your capstone project on interpersonal communications. It could be a video project, or it could be an essay based on what you're comfortable with. A lot of students that I travel with will do video montages of their entire experience, and they have these beautiful stories that are visually told. I think it's a beautiful process to see. So Sam, that's a great question. If you want to hang on after the presentation, I can talk to you about what the total cost would be, because there's lots of options that you can do with the trip. So like you can update or upgrade to like a single room instead of sharing a room, or you can go and do the extra trip as well. So we can talk about that if you have about 5 minutes after that. I know we're reaching the 1 o'clock hour, and I want to thank you all for dropping in and taking a look at this trip. It is truly an amazing experience. I was fortunate enough to do a tour in November, and I'm really looking forward to going back in May and June to these beautiful countries. So thank you, everybody. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'm going to hang out here as well to answer some questions, but I'll go ahead and put my email in the chat if you have any questions for this particular program, and I'll get back to you about that. So I want to thank everybody for joining me. And if you have any issues with scholarship, Kelly is a great resource. And we also have Dr. Yang on here, who's over our program, our director. We have wonderful support staff to help students either an onboarding process, getting passports and visas. So if you are interested, this is a great time to ask questions and get to know more. Otherwise, if you have to go, I appreciate you stopping in. And for those of you who came in for my classes for extra credit for hanging out, I do have a form I'd like you just to fill out so you get your credit. So you show that you came. So let me go ahead and drop that into the chat, and then you can be on your way. Kelly just popped in some email information and phone numbers as well. So again, if you're a student of mine who dropped in for extra credit, let me send you the link. Actually, here it is. Short copy. All right, so links here. Drop your name, drop your class, and I'll give you your extra credit. So thank you, everybody. And Sam, if you have a moment, I'll hang on and have a chat with you about that.
Thank you, John, for the very interesting and exciting introduction of this program. Make me want to go too. So, again, if you have any questions regarding scholarship, I see one person has a question regarding a scholarship. Will we know if you were awarded for the scholarship before the deadline, refund deadline? For Gilman, definitely not, because Gilman application deadline is March 7th. So for fund for education abroad, it might be because the deadline is February 7th. So it's a maybe. So you will have to really, if you have questions, you have doubt, definitely think about it and do a lot of planning for the study abroad program. Once you're sure, I highly encourage you apply right now, because the program, we already have over 15 applications. And as John said, the maximum is 22. So this is amazing program. The cost is compared to many other program, it's on the lower end. It's very affordable, and it's giving you all these amazing opportunities to see places, to experience different things, different culture. Yes, um, I highly encourage you. As for the Gilman, you should apply if you qualify. The Gilman qualification is U.S. citizen and currently receiving Pell Grant. So for this Gilman, the information I'm heard is this Asia program is considered as not traditional program, which may have a higher possibility get awarded with scholarship compared to a traditional European country study abroad program. So I highly encourage you to apply and definitely join our info sessions. And there's one info session coming up this Thursday, so join us. Does anybody have any other questions we can answer on the spot?
Yeah, I'm trying to go through the application here to see what the total costs are.
I was just about to say, what is the actual total cost of the Vietnam
Yeah.
trip?
Well, there's options here, so I'm going to show you. I will get a passport, I promise. Let's see. restriction. And we get allergy information too. I don't
Okay.
disclose.
While you're
Yeah,
looking
'cause-
at that, I'll answer another question, the GPA requirement. The GPA requirement is 2.25. So you must be 18 years or older, have a GPA of 2.25 or higher.
All right, so the ground program right now is at about 2,600 bucks. But if you want options to upgrade to a single room, you can do that. Otherwise, it's twin occupancy as a standard. And then if you want to do the post ground program, this is where you add, it's 510 bucks. And it was close to that. And then there are travel interruption insurance. So if anything happened, it's
Mhm.
like 279. I encourage that. I had a student who went to travel a year ago, had COVID, the insurance covered everything. They even got the insurance refund back. So it's definitely worth it.
What?
Yeah, it was they had a doctor's note. It wasn't like they just said, oh, I can't go. So that was an option. So it looks like if we just did the ground program with a shared room and insurance, it's about 3,400 bucks plus your airfare. So one of the students already booked a shared airfare for about $1,400 round trip. That means it'd be about $4,700 for the trip, which is cheaper than most. It's cheaper than any trip I've ever taken students on. So
Right.
when I went to Australia, it was like 7,200 bucks. When I went to Europe, it was 5,400 and up. So this is why I want to students here, because it's really for international travel. Now, there's a couple other things that you have to pay for outside of this. You have to pay for a visa, which is $26 for Vietnam. And if you don't have a US passport, you may have to pay for a visa for Thailand, which is another $28. And then if you don't have a passport, you got to pay for a passport. So if you are interested in going and you don't have a passport, get your passport ASAP, because it does take some time. Sam, correct, airfare is not included in this trip. And the reason why is if we had the trip book the airfare, it would be $2,000 on top of this. So that would make this, 5,400 versus 47. So we thought it'd be way easier to save the 400 or 500 bucks and have us book our own airfare.
Okay.
Quick question.
Yep, go for it.
How do I make sure I'm in the same flight, or I don't want to travel alone. Maybe I want to travel, with the group. How do I make sure that happens?
Since it's separate, what you can do is when I book my flights, I will tell everyone my flight schedule is, so you can book with me. It's a good thing to do if you have never traveled before. Again, anything can happen at the airport, and then you're at the whim of the airlines. I had a whole trip, 28 travelers, where we missed our connecting flight in Frankfurt and we were stuck at the airport for 6 hours. But because I was there and I had all the information and passports, I got us rebooked on the Lufthansa, and we ended up only missing half a day versus 2 days in Florence. So you're not wrong to think about that. I've dealt with different airport issues, and for the most part can do a good job mitigating them. Also, having a powerful company like World Strides behind helping, use their name does help a little bit. So I will send out my information and my travel confirmed flights once I confirm them, which will probably be the end of this week. I've been watching flights since October of last year, and they're just like a yo-yo. They're all over the place. So the cheapest I've seen was like $1,200 round trip. And then the most expensive I saw was, 22,000 for first class seats with a bed. So we could dream, but I'm probably on one of those $1,500 round trip flights, and I'll send that out. Asiana Airlines was absolutely amazing. I ended up sitting on the last row, right next to the kitchen and the bathroom, which no one likes, but I had so much extra room that it was wonderful. And I got to sleep and I got pampered by the staff. So I'm definitely gonna look at Asiana Airlines again. And then we booked our flights through Expedia, which saved another $200. So if I find cheap flights, I will notify those who signed up on the list to go, just to make sure we all save money.
How will we how soon will we know if we, like, say for example, I just applied like 2 days just now. How soon will I know if I got accepted or not, so I could start making payments?
Well, so basically what happens is as soon as you send the application in, I get an email. I'm up like crazy hours. So I grade and so forth. So I respond back right away, and I set up a meeting to talk to you and meet you. If you come to one of these informational sessions, I see you and talk to you, know you're a human, you're pretty much approved. What we're looking for during the one-on-one meeting
Cool.
is to see if you are aware of the travel requirements. I mean, if you're not used to humidity, it's a game changer. I am used to desert heat. Give me 120 in Las Vegas every summer, I'm there. You give me 90 degrees with 85% humidity, I'm dying. And so we want to make sure that people have the physical abilities to do this trip. There's a lot of walking, and walking is not that bad. When you add that humidity, if you're not used to it, it creates a lot of stress on the body. We don't want anyone passing out. We don't want anybody hurt. The other consideration is some people just don't travel well with others. So if you're a person who needs your personal space and you want to go, I'll say, well, I would suggest you upgrade to the individual room just because it's not worth fighting with somebody when you're on this trip. You're going to push your body to the limits, right? You're going to fly overnight for 20 some hours, and then you're going to hit the ground running for another 12 hours, and then you get to go to bed. What students want to do on these trips, they want to land, go right to sleep. And when you do that, it's a miserable experience because your body never adjusts to the time difference. And then you're always feeling like you're lagging. So the best thing you can do is try to adapt to local time a day or two before you go. I believe they're about 13 or 14 hours ahead of us when we travel. So that's an adjustment. So it's either staying up really, really late or going to bed super early. And then also on the flight, we encourage you to get as much rest as possible. So when you land, you are wide awake and ready to go. And then also in other issues that come up, like I'm allergic to crab, and there's a lot of seafood here. So I want to make sure that we have any of those food allergies identified. The restaurants that we do go to, they were exceptional with allergies. Like it was so awesome.
Okay, I just don't eat pork. That's the only.
We are twins, buddy. I do not eat pork either. I don't eat pork, I don't eat crab. Like it was not a problem. And so
Me either. I don't eat shrimp, crab. I don't eat raw fish. I don't. It's a lot
so
of
much of that here. So as long
Okay.
as you are aware of that, as long as you're aware of that, we can put it for like a vegetarian meal, and then you can order inside of that if you don't like it, right?
Okay.
But also a consideration, which I thought was quite interesting, and a cultural change is if you say vegetarian, depending on what country you're in, like in Thailand, they told us like make sure if you want pure vegetarian, you go to an Indian restaurant because the local will serve like meat byproducts in the like the butters and the oils that they cook with. So it's kind of funny. It's like, oh, there's no chunks of meat, but we're gonna throw in some lamb here that's not quite meat. It's like, what does that mean?
Right.
So we go over that stuff just to be prepared. But as long as you know, that's not a problem. That's why it's a question. It's on our application that you submit from the district, and it's also on your registration form that you see here that you tell us. So we want to know those food allergies. It is not an issue. These are two major cities that have hundreds of thousands of tourists every single year, and they're used to allergies, and it's not a problem.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Miss Bishop. I see your application already. You're fast.
Yeah, I said I applied. Once y'all dropped the application in the chat, I applied right then and there.
Great.
Part of the reason this trip has a cap is because, again, we're going to a modern city that doesn't necessarily have all the modern transportation vessels. So we don't want to have these little toot-toots where everyone's sort of dragged around these bicycles trying to get to places. So we do have a limited capacity based on buses. So that's why we have a limit on this trip. And also it's a better experience when it's a bit smaller than having like 100 people travel. So question in the chat is, you don't have a GPA, you have a bachelor's degree. Is it possible? Yes, absolutely it's possible. You still have to take a class though. So make sure you have your application on file to get that going. If you have your bachelor's degree, I'm guessing you passed your classes. So the college may require you to have that for your college application. Kelly could probably tell you more about that.
Yes, we accept transcript from other colleges. So you have a bachelor degree, just get a copy of your transcript, send it to us, and
no problem. Okay, Sam, did I get all your questions answered?
Yeah, I just had a question. I think Denisha referred to it, but I just applied as well. And then so where's the link to pay and how soon can I pay? The
Well, I
down
have you
payment.
pay right now. If you want to hang out and we can have a one-to-one real quick. You're currently enrolled in the district, right?
Yeah, correct. I'm taking your class on Mondays.
Oh, okay.
I'm 180.
Oh, okay. Okay, perfect. All right, yeah. So you're in. I'll send you the link.
actually, I will stop the recording since I was still recording
All right, appreciate
this
that.
whole time.
Sam, can I send it to you in the chat here?
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, I never know when I see names and not faces, so my apologies. So I'm gonna send you the link to register, and then it's also I'll send you another email with all this information too. But if you want to do it right now, let's